Alright guys, we have reached the semifinals of the BMW Open, which is in Munich. Starting off, we have the 5th seed, Francisco Cerundolo, who has actually been pretty consistent this year. He made the quarterfinals at the Indian Wells and Miami. In Monte Carlo, he drew Alcaraz in the second round, so tough luck there. Alcaraz, of course, went on to lift the title. And he has taken on the 2nd seed, Ben Shelton, who has actually become the first American to reach the semifinals of an ATP 500 event on clay. I don't know if that's in history, but that sounds like it should be wrong, because I can't conceive how no American could have done that, but this country has let me down so many times that I suppose it wouldn't be too surprising if this were also the case somehow. But I saw some record like that. So congrats to Ben Shelton. It is kind of a surprise that he made it this far, because clay is not known for being basically any American's best surface, for the most part, like 95% of the time. And Shelton had not really shown any results on clay other than winning in Houston. Of course, he won in Houston last year. But let's be honest, Houston does not mean anything in terms of you being good on clay. It is a clay court tournament, but the clay there is not even the same. It's like this weird clay that's not even the same as the other red clay court tournaments. And it's like the weakest clay field ever, because half of the draw are Americans who are not good on clay. So let's be honest, winning that does not mean you're good on clay. And nobody thinks that. Look, the past people who have won this tournament: Tiafoe, Shelton, Steve Johnson, Tennis Sandgren. Like, these guys are not clay court players. They're just random Americans who entered this draw, and half of it is Americans, so one of them is going to win, most likely, and that's what happened. So that doesn't mean anything that he won Houston. Apart from that, he has not really shown any results on clay, not that I know of, until now. So good for him. Actually, he was able to adapt his game and get to this point, which is somewhat surprising. I actually thought that he was going to lose in his last match against Luciano Darderi, who is a clay court specialist and has won 2 clay court titles in his career. Just won a title like a couple weeks ago on clay in Marrakesh. So I was like, oh, Shelton got here, but now he's facing an actual like clay specialist, so he's probably going to lose now. But he took him out in straight sets, and it was actually quite impressive. This was actually probably one of Shelton's best performances, not only on clay, but maybe just in general. Like, he was actually fantastic. I have to hand it to the guy. And the thing is, he looked focused and locked in throughout this match. I mean, maybe that's not the right word, because he's usually focused, but he looked serious, like disciplined. He wasn't like screaming like a baby as much as he usually does and going like, yeah, and all those, pumping himself up, which I don't really care about, but a lot of people get angry at him, and they comment every time Shelton wins or loses a match. They comment, oh, yeah, every time he loses, glad to see Shelton get humbled and kick this kid out. Every time he wins, I can't stand Shelton, his excessive noise making. So a lot of people get annoyed, but in this match, he was actually not doing as much of that, and he was playing very well. I have to hand it to him. And he also almost lost in the first match he played in this tournament. He probably should have lost. He was playing Gojo, or Goyo, however you say his name, and Gojo had a match point in that second set, and all he had to do was basically put a volley into the open court, but he completely flubbed that, and Shelton just came back and won that. So Shelton actually made use of staying alive in the tournament, and he's made it to the semifinals after getting close to being knocked out right away. And he has gotten better as the tournament went on. And now he will... And let's look at the stats for that match against Darderi. He served 56% first serves in, so that's That's not very high, actually. That could be better. But he did 28 winners and 17 unforced errors. So he did 11 more winners than unforced errors. That is fantastic from Shelton. You actually have to hand it to the guy. Cerundolo, on the other hand, who was the clay specialist, he defeated Goffin in straight sets. He served 52% first serves in, so that is also pretty low. He hit 17 winners and 26 unforced errors, so he did 9 more unforced errors than winners. So, based on these statistics, even though you would think that Cerundolo is the superior clay court player, which he is at this point in his career by acclamation, I believe that Shelton, he has just been impressive this tournament, and I'm surprised actually that I'm picking Shelton to defeat a clay specialist, but he just did that. He actually just did that with a guy who just won a title on clay. So, judging by how well he's playing, why not do it again? I mean, why not do it again? So, I will have Shelton winning this in straight sets. I just think he's playing fantastically. So, yeah, I'm going to make that prediction, maybe a bit bold, but let's see what happens. And in the second semifinal, we have the top seed Alexander Zverev, who is finally in a semifinal. Since the Australian Open, he has not made a single semifinal until now, until he plays in Germany, and he is finally hyped up, and he has found his way into another semifinal, finally, after losing first, second, third round, all the other tournaments this year, basically, up until this point. And he is taking on the Hungarian Fabian Marozsan. Hold on. Fabian Marozsan, who is actually in his first tour level semifinal, which is somewhat surprising because he has been a common name on the tour for these past couple of years, ever since he defeated Alcaraz in Rome. That was where everyone started to become aware that this guy existed. But he's actually never made it to a semifinal until now. So of course he's never won a title. He's actually not ranked very high, but he has a pretty good record against the top 10, I believe. I think it might even be a positive record, or maybe it's like just negative, but it's pretty good. His record against the top 20 might be positive. But now he will face another top 10 player in his first semifinal. The head-to-head... Oh, right. I didn't say the head-to-head between Shelton and Cerundolo. It is 1-love to Shelton. They faced one time on hard courts last year in Indian Wells, where it was an extremely close match, and Shelton won in a third-set tiebreak. So, not much to take away from that. But anyway, the head-to-head between Marozsan and Zverev is 1-love to Zverev. They faced one time on hard court last year in Miami, and Zverev won in straight sets. Not much to take away from that. This is a completely different surface. Looking at their respective matches, Marozsan defeated Bergs in straight sets. He served 78% first serves in. That is pretty good. But he hit 21 winners and 27 unforced errors. So he did 6 more unforced errors than winners. So that is not that great from Marozsan. Zverev, on the other hand, 68% first serves in, which is good. Zverev is accustomed to making a good high percentage of first serves in. Even higher than this. He has served like 70s, 80s multiple times, many times in his career. But this is still a good percentage of first serves in. And he hit 37 winners and 35 unforced errors. So he hit 2 more winners and unforced errors. So that is a good number from Zverev. He was actually extremely close to losing this match. It looked like he was going to lose. He lost the first set in a tiebreak. And then Griekspoor served for the match at 5-4 in the second set, but he could not complete the job. Zverev came back. He started getting hyped. He won that in a tiebreak, the second set, clawed it back, and then he won the third 6-4. So another extremely close match between Zverev and Griekspoor. And Zverev, he was getting into it, man. He was showing emotion. He was getting hyped. And it was good to see him get this win, because he has not had a lot of wins lately, and he's back into a semifinal. And honestly, I liked to see it. I like to see him get into it and show that emotion. And I know everybody hates on him because he's supposedly a domestic abuser, but I'm not going to talk about that. I haven't really looked at it. Again, I don't really have hatred towards any player, even though judging by people's actions, I guess I'm supposed to hate them, but I guess that's not how my emotions work, so I just never really experienced any animosity towards these players who do not know me nor care about me. But anyway, looking at Zverev's stats set by set, in the first set he hit 13 winners and 16 unforced errors. In the second set he hit 12 winners and 11 unforced errors. And in the third set he hit 12 winners and 8 unforced errors. So he got better as the match went on. He locked down. He just didn't miss. He made fewer and fewer unforced errors as the sets went on, and that's what allowed him to get the win. So this was actually, he played some good tennis in there, even though it was quite a scrappy match. It was not an unforced error fest from Zverev. Actually, he did even more winners than he did unforced errors. So judging from that, I think Zverev is actually playing the better tennis than Marochan at the moment. Marochan also in his first tour level semifinal, but I don't think that matters as much now that I've been proven wrong by multiple players this year winning their first ATP titles of their careers against players who have won titles already. I don't think it matters as much that Marochan is in his first tour level semifinal. And he is good against the top 10, but I think that Zverev is just playing the better tennis right now. And maybe he has found his form. He looks hungry. He is playing in Germany, and he looks jacked up. So I will have Zverev winning this in straight sets, and I think we can have a banger of a final between the top seed Alexander Zverev and the second seed Ben Shelton, whom I have both predicted to win their matches in straight sets against Marochan and Cerundolo, respectively.